All right. Well, Amelia, I am super excited today because we get to talk with one of my favorite people in our field, even though she is from Arkansas. But I'll still say welcome, Julie Petty.
Thank you, George. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. We are excited to have you on, and I apologize for the Arkansas dig.
That's
Um,
okay. Everybody does it.
I suppose they do. Well, we usually like to just start by getting to know you, and so I guess the first question we would have is, how did you come to be working in the field of developmental disabilities?
Obviously, I was born with cerebral palsy, and I have lived experience. And so in 1998, I went to my first self advocacy national conference. And I really didn't know what self advocacy was. So, so yeah, I went to SAVE, got self advocate, the community powers in 1998, and then in 2000, I became the state coordinator of the self advocacy organization here in Arkansas. And after that, I got involved all over the state, starting groups all over the state. I got involved more and more on the national level. I became a board member of SAVE. I got to meet the good allies like Shelly Reynolds. Shelly Reynolds used to come to the same board meetings, and then I became president of SAVE.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I did that for 2 years.
Well, Julie, you said earlier when we were just chit chatting, actually, that you had started in journalism or your background's in journalism. So, what was that like? The draw, I guess, to like become involved after that first conference in self advocacy as a in a professional way and in a statewide level, from like where you thought you were going with your journalism degree.
So I thought my goal in journalism, my dream was to write for Rolling Stone magazine. That was
Nice.
my dream because
Mm-hmm.
I love music.
Wow.
So, but I also love to talk. I love to talk. So I love communication. So advocacy, I able to use the skills I learned in journalism and self advocacy to help me communicate with my peers and
Oh
other
yeah.
people. You know?
Yeah. I just have to ask then, like, who would have been the dream interview band or musician if you had like gone to Rolling Stone, been a journalist there, who would you have wanted to interview?
That is a hard question, Amelia. There's so many people. I, mm, I don't even know where to start.
You can
Maybe,
think on it and then let me know. Text me later when you're like, it's this. I thought
yeah,
of
I'll let you know.
it. Okay.
I ended up marrying a musician, so that worked that good.
Oh, you did?
Oh,
I
really?
did not know your husband was a musician.
Oh yeah, he's playing in many bands all over the nation. So
Well, Julie, I've had the pleasure of meeting your husband, and I met your sister, or at least one of your sisters.
yeah.
Um, But my impression is that having a disability has in no way you know, it seems like you come from a family where that you it was just expected that you were going to become a journalist or whatever it is that you were wanted to be, and your disability wasn't going to change that. Can you talk a little bit about that, or in your family, and the fact that you know it seems like you not had many of they weren't putting a lot of the barriers in front of you that would slow you down.
Well, I feel like I always say that I am a product of awesome family support before it was ever really a term. You know,
Mm.
I'm not gonna tell you my age, but anyway, so mom and dad were right, George. They expected me to do everything I could to the best of my ability, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I could do it, and sometimes I needed help. And my sisters had two older sisters. They
Mm-hmm.
always pushed me to thrive and do stuff on my own.
Well, that's
Um,
wonderful.
yeah, and my dad being a college basketball coach, he,
Uh-huh.
he was always my he was always my advocate at
Mm-hmm.
school. So I feel like I learned kind of how to be an advocate for my
Mm-hmm.
dad, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's great. So then when you were a journalist, you went into SABE. Like, was that what did that, when did it become a career? I mean, SABE, is and maybe I'm just misunderstanding, but SABE is an advocacy organization. When did you move into this field as a professional, and what did that look like?
Yeah, like I was saying, in 2000,
Mm-hmm.
I became the state coordinator Arkansas People First. And I started doing that full time and traveling around and educating my peers. That how I got to the UCEDD, the
Mm-hmm.
University Center on Disability, is um, when I would travel around the state, my peers would disclose to me about the abuse and
Mm-hmm.
the victimization that they experienced.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what to tell them.
Right.
All I knew is just say, I'm sorry that happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
So a good ally of mine, her name is Roberta Sick. She worked at the UCED and she had a safety and sexual violence prevention grant. And
Mm-hmm.
then she also had a intervention grant who worked directly with crime victims. So anyway, Roberta convinced me to come and work at the UCED. And we worked together on prevention with the education piece and
Mm-hmm.
then the intervention where we help crime victims get support they need. The George, I had to learn a lot because I had to deal with some of my own trauma that I
Uh-huh.
had in the past. But now
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know I'm a good victim advocate, and
Yeah.
um, people with disabilities experience violence 3 to 5 or more times in their life. In their life,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
so and I don't want to say 44% of the perpetrators of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities is usually somebody they know.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
become very, a million of I'm very
Mhm.
passionate about
Mm-hmm.
stopping the violence. It
Yeah.
needs,
Yeah.
it needs to stop.
Yeah, I've actually had the pleasure of working with Julie on some violence prevention and response related grants that we've had here in Missouri. And she's been a great consultant and educator. And I've learned a lot from working with you, Julie. You do a lot on that safety and sexual violence prevention stuff now. Um, what are some of the main like themes or like topics that you guys cover in some of the trainings or the education you do that are really important? Like you said, the violence, it needs to stop. Like, what are some of the things that you see in helping that?
Well, so I educate my peers. And I also educate like direct support staff and parents, and basically, people have been not given the information
Mm-hmm.
about relationships and
Mm-hmm.
healthy relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So that one thing we focus on is healthy and unhealthy relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And with the parents, I talk about the prison of protection that was created by Dave Hinsberger. I know Dave has come to Missouri before.
Yeah. Yes. Well,
Yeah,
multiple times.
yeah. So, because when we protect people, it really doesn't help. It
Hmm.
makes them more at a higher risk.
Mm-hmm.
A million knows I don't like to use the word vulnerable. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not vulnerable just because I have a disability. I
Hmm.
would be vulnerable if I was put in a situation that wasn't safe, you know?
Right.
So we like to say people with disabilities are at a higher risk
Mm-hmm.
of victimization.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we talk about with the parents and the staff.
Mm-hmm.
We tell them they don't need to be protected. They need to be given the skills, self
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
advocacy skills to speak up and
Mm-hmm.
to know. So,
You said something once way back when we were talking about a project here in Missouri about because we were talking about how what education or information to give to like supporters or allies or individuals. And you were saying something you're really passionate about, like telling maybe even staff in particular, but like not to get in people's way, right? Like not to get in their way of making choices or getting the information. And that just the prison of protection made me think about that, right? Like often something might start with a good intention, but it has a really negative impact on people.
yeah, people, people always have good intentions, but they don't understand the good intentions.
Yeah. I'm curious, like when you see that happening, is it is it the kind of thing that like I mean, how does that? I can't even imagine someone perpetrating abuse on someone, on a person in front of other people, or.
Well, you have to understand that types of abuse,
Uh-huh.
So the one I'm speaking about is a staff member grabbed a person by the wrist and pulled them over to a chair and said, sit right here
Mm-hmm.
during one of my classes.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I say is people can sit wherever they want, you know.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I usually kick staff out of the room
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
if they don't like, you know.
I'm
So
sure.
I had to be nice, but not too nice
Mm-hmm.
because
Mhm.
I want to be able to go back, and
Mm-hmm.
see my
Sure.
peers. So I feel like in Arkansas, we take one step, we take about one step forward and then 5 steps backwards, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we know all too well that
Yeah.
that
yeah.
that experience. Yeah. So, what is it? When you going into a sheltered workshop or some other place? Are you going there specifically to do training? And is that a program through your UCED?
Yes, like I've been saying, I work on at, at partner, at
Mm-hmm.
Partner for Inclusive Communities. I
Mm-hmm.
work on safety and sexual violence prevention. That
Mhm.
is the education piece. And then I work on crime victims with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the intervention. But a million knows, people with disability jobs usually don't report.
Yeah.
And then when they do, they get their independence taken away, you know?
Mhm.
Example, example would be a woman who was sexually assaulted who used to only have maybe 5 hours with staff during the
Mm-hmm.
day, and she's sexually assaulted. So now she got 24-hour staff in her
Mhm.
apartment. When
Wow.
if a non-disabled person got sexually assaulted, they might just go stay with a friend for a couple
Mm-hmm.
of
Mhm.
days, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's why people don't report.
That's a really good point, Julie, to make is that really understanding the cost to a getting to making a report or seeking services or help after you've experienced abuse as a person with a disability. It's almost like you have to weigh, well, do I want the state to become involved? Do I want individuals to know? Because what does that mean for my independence? What could that mean for retaliation if it's a staff person who is the perpetrator, right?
Right.
There's more factors almost to consider when it comes to making a report, and sexual violence among other types of violence are underreported already.
And this is why we also have to educate staff,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
because they have to know. I feel community-based programs like developmental disability programs
Hmm.
are not designed to support survivors,
Hmm.
and they don't know really what to do. But
Yeah.
a lot of them in Arkansas know what we do at the youth center, so they call it
Hmm.
typically, you know.
Mm-hmm. Julie, I know that you have a lot of colleagues and I guess that you work with nationally. Is it your impression that nationally people are recognizing how important this issue is?
I'm glad you asked me that, George, because the administration on community living
Hmm.
did a webinar with, in collaboration with Advocacy for Change,
Uh-huh.
which used to be the Vera, well, it's still the Vera Institute on Justice. They did a webinar, I'm gonna say, in March or April,
Uh-huh.
and they interviewed survivors with intellectual and development of the development. And they got to tell their story.
Mhm.
And a, ACL, the topic is on their radar, you know? So
Hmm.
they are really trying to help make a change. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's really wonderful. Um, do you think that is that being led by people with disabilities or with lived experience?
Um, some of it, some of
Yeah.
it is. No, I wouldn't say all. I would say, yeah, I would say some of it is. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I I think one because not before, I guess I've been in the disability field for a while, but I've also through some of my work in social work, kind of was in the victim advocacy world, working for like a local rape crisis center, right? And so some of the things that are in the victim advocacy world really pair nicely with things in the disability movement, right? Like really promoting choice and giving back voice, because when you've experienced violence or you've experienced abuse, right, that there's that dehumanization, Julie, that you talked about, and that
Yeah.
somebody took power over you, and so it's
Yeah.
really giving power back to the individual and in the choices that happen from then on, right? And so I've always seen those two things pair really nicely, and I think where we have that nuance in the disability field is that prison of protection, right? It's sort of like, well, oh, let
Yeah.
hold up here. This is not, this is a different, this is a special victim, right, Julie? Like these sort
Yeah.
of terms and these other layers that get added in. And then we start to lose that piece of like victim advocacy, self-advocacy involved in the process. But I'm gonna, Julie, you speak. Sorry. I could talk to Julie all day about this stuff. This is what we love to talk about.
Amelia, I think you know, I think I've shared it with you. But on the national level, I would say like 5 years ago, it's been the Vera Institute of Justice Activating for Change got many people with intellectual and developmental disability together. Like,
Hmm.
and we created a peer-to-peer guide where
Oh.
we need more peers like
Hmm.
myself to
Mhm.
be victim advocates, you know? And the reason why the youth said when they made to work on the issue is because I told Amelia, people will talk to me
Mhm.
before they'll talk to a non-disabled person, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
So that, like I said, it's really hard. I had to go through my own stuff to
Mhm.
be able to be a good victim advocate, you know?
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
that it was totally worth it. Cause now
Mhm.
I feel like I just get so much joy on helping my peers because
Hmm.
every time I go in and do education, people usually disclose. So I feel like they're able to heal. When they're able to tell somebody what happened to them, they're able to heal, you know? So,
Yeah. That brings up something else, Julie, that's I know a body of work of yours is on allyship. And
yeah.
so you talk or you've done some publications and some trainings around this topic. And so I wonder if you talk a little bit about that. Like what is an ally? How do we use or misuse that term in the field? Why is allyship education important?
So, yeah, we did this to kind of take a new look on how we're going to educate people, people who work with people with disabilities and help them learn about ableism and how to be an ally and how to just basically stop and listen. Take a pause, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to people, you know? And yeah, so our allies series has been going very good. Um, we have like 3 or 4 different. We have how to be an ally, ally in action, which helps people talk about different scenarios, you know, and what they would do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have allies supporting relationships now. So
Mm.
I don't know if you knew about that new one, Amelia.
I didn't. Is
Yeah.
the series, are these series something that anyone can sign up for and tap
Yeah.
into?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody all over the nation. We're gonna start a new training series from the beginning in January. And you
Okay.
can go on our website
Hmm.
We'll
to
add it in the show notes because I think that
see,
could be a
see
cool
that.
opportunity.
So,
Julia, I know you've done a little bit of stuff internationally, but are these issues as prevalent internationally as they are in the U.S.?
mm, I don't really know if I can answer that question.
Mm.
I don't really know the answer.
Hmm.
So, sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I was looking at um, the bio that we have of you talking about having gone to South Korea in particular, and
Mhm.
um, that anyway, I wasn't sure if it was related to this work or not. That trip.
No, that trip was part of being on the president's committee
Uh huh.
on intellectual disability. I was the I was the chairperson of that committee.
That's very cool. So you
Yeah.
went to South Korea and then what was that experience like? Did you guys meet with other like delegates from other nations? Was it a group of people from all
Yeah,
over?
they had a global summit on disability and Special Olympics International was having their winter game. But
Okay.
on top of that, they were having a global conference, global summit to talk
Hmm.
about disability, like you were saying, George, all over the world about
Hmm.
how. So, but the topic of victimization never came up.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, I I could tell you stories, but I was treated very nicely. I met I was met when I got out the airplane in South Korea, I was met by a man from the State Department. He was standing right there at the door of the airplane.
Oh wow, like you're a VIP.
I felt pretty spoiled. I don't know if I would ever be able to travel international again. My seat was a recliner, so I got to sleep
Oh,
most of the anyway. It
oh,
was very
that's
nice.
that's the hope on those long international flights is to get the reclining seats. So.
I've been very fortunate to have great allies on the
Mm.
national level, like Nancy Faber, Steve Eidelman. Yeah, they
that
really helped me
that's
grow
neat.
as a leader.
I I once got to travel through Mexico with Judy Human because her husband was Mexican, and or yeah, Jorge was his name. And anyway, he we had a project in Mexico and they came out, and it was so cool to get to. I was just a graduate student, so I wasn't the person she was there to see, but it was just being around them and getting to travel with them was such a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Uh, can you talk a little bit about being on the president's committee? I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Like, what would you do, and what did that involve?
So I was on the president committee appointed by Obama in 2011, and there has never been a person with a disability to be the chairperson of that
Really?
committee.
Wow, that's impressive.
They all knew that I would love to be the leader of that committee. So anyway, President Obama appointed me the chairperson in 2013. And it was very hard. I don't know why I wanted to be the chair. I have to tell you, if it wasn't for Shelley Reynolds was on the committee, if it wasn't for Shell, she supported
Mm.
me. I
Yeah.
have many afternoons into the crying. So,
You were like, what did I get myself into?
but no, I'm glad I had I'm glad I had the experience. But it was really tough.
Yeah.
Mm.
Did you guys meet what, quarterly or more
Yeah,
often
we
than
would
that?
meet quarterly and we would choose different topics to write a report on to give to
Mm.
the president.
Did you get to go and meet with President Obama then and present?
No.
No. Oh, darn.
Well, I met with President Obama with some other advocates
Uh huh.
Okay.
when when Ron Emanuel, and I don't mind talking about this
Uh huh.
because it's public knowledge.
Yeah.
It was in the news. So Ron Emanuel called some people the effing R word. So I was like, oh my goodness. So Tim Schreiber is a pretty good ally of mine.
Uh
So
huh.
when that happened, Tim Schreiber called and said, do you want to go with us to the White House to talk to Mom about this R word? So it was
Mm.
Tim Schreiber, me, Ricardo Thornton is a great self advocate.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was there. I
Yeah.
mean, Rom was
Oh
there.
yeah.
Or what?
Yeah. He
Oh
was
wow, that.
he was he went under he understood where we were coming from,
Hmm.
and he took the pledge not to say the R word. So
Mm.
Hmm.
that was the best time at the White House to go to
The
Yeah.
best time?
I don't know. I also had dinner at the White House where I got to meet some famous people. So,
Oh,
Wow.
really?
anyway, I've been to the White House a few times. Too.
Wow.
Are you going to AUCD this year, Julie? Because can you get us in, like, to the White House since you have all these connections?
I was talking to I was talking to my coworker the other day at the UCEDD, wondering if I was still on the okay. You had to, when you're on a president committee, you have to be approved
Uh-huh.
for
Oh,
all this stuff. I wonder if I still have approval to go in the
yeah.
White House.
Yeah.
We gotta find that out.
You, you did that, Amelia. You let me know what you find
Okay,
out.
I'm on it. I'm on it. I feel like because Biden was VP at the time, that it's like there's a
Yeah,
connection to the administration,
yeah.
so you're probably still on the list.
I'm on somebody's list. If I can
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep working on it, but Julie, we're gonna get in there.
I just have to say, I love um, working for the UCED because I get to do training. I get to talk to people. I get to educate. And that's what I'm passionate about.
Mhm.
And George, my director, Karen,
Yep.
and she is one of the best allies. She's very supportive of all we do. So I couldn't work for another director. She's the best, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. I love it that you have that relationship with her.
Yeah.
Um, so, Julie, given all your experience, when you look at the sort of the next, say, 3 to 5 years, what do you think are the important topics that those of us in the USAID network will be talking about and hopefully um, working on?
In the network, I'm not really sure, but I know in developmental disability field, we have a lot of work to do. In Arkansas, we still have many people on the waiting list.
Hmm.
And we have many people like myself who are aging with a disability. And
Hmm.
I tried to apply for support recently and I got denied. So that's a problem, in my
Mm.
opinion. I feel like we've only needed to maybe get back to the basics, George, and help people live the life they want to live. I don't want
Hmm.
to have to leave my home. I want to
Mm-hmm.
live in my home,
Right.
So eventually I'm going to need support. And
Hmm.
eventually my sons are not, they do help me a lot.
Hmm.
So they're young adults. So, but eventually they are not going to be here. So,
Hmm.
um, I hope that answered your question. So
Mm.
that I really like the life course that you do at you said
Mm.
that's really healthy, I believe.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a wonderful program, that our team led by Shelley
Yeah.
Reynolds and
Yeah.
others, but they're a wonderful team and they're just doing great work.
Yeah.
So, all right, Julie. Well, if someone wants to learn more about you or more about your work, where can they go to find that?
So they go to, I believe, ULA
Hmm.
Partners for Inclusive Communities.com.
Okay.
We also have a Facebook page. We also, I have an email. You're
Hmm.
welcome to give people my email. JAPetty@uark.edu. Yeah. So,
Okay. We will put all of that in our show notes. And just thank you so much, Julie, for taking this time and spending it with us. We really appreciate it.
yeah, it was fun, George.